Wake up, rethink the status quo. When you get your money right, then you're the one who runs your life. Come build a wealthy spirit with Sammy and Michelle.
The end of October was a scary time for me, not because of Halloween, because suddenly I found myself eating a delicious coconut cake layered with wonderful frostings, sprinkled with shreds of coconut. It was delicious. And maybe if that alone is what happened, it would have been fine. But I also ate a beautiful box of chocolate brought from us from San Francisco.
For me, it started with the Skittles gummies. First, I just ate one, then one turned into 20. The next thing you know, I'm eating crackles and Good Bars. Yeah, you know, the small kind, they can only be Halloween candy. Then, next thing you know, I decided to order chicken and waffles banana banana pudding on chicken and waffles. It didn't need to happen. But you know what? God always has a plan and he works in mysterious ways. And this way was get off the train before it even takes off.
Sammy, it was in my sugar coma that I realized, oh my gosh, this is not going to end. We are in the holiday season, okay? Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas. For some reason, the amount of sugar I am offered in the next 2-month period is absolutely insane.
I literally went to work and there was leftover Halloween candy everywhere. And I was so glad that Michelle and I already decided that we are going to stop sugar now.
And that conclusion, Sammy, came because in my sugar coma, I realized that October, to be honest, was a pretty exhausting month for me. There were a lot of great things, but I don't think I took care of myself in the way that I really needed. Then I calculated on November 1st, how many days are left to the end of the year? Turns out it's 60, which is not exactly when this episode comes out. But I thought to myself, 60 days. What a perfect amount of time to actually embrace growth, taking care of myself, leveling up. I technically have an almost clear schedule the next 2 months, but I'm not fooled. I know these are the months of the devil, Sammy.
Listen up. There's 60 days left of the year. Less than that when this episode comes out. And it is the final push. This is our final chance to get things right. And it is the place where we can easily get things wrong. So let's think about it before it even starts.
Let's get into it. But first, I want to tell you about our partner for this episode, AirHelp. I have one more trip left this season. I'm going to a wedding in Boca, Florida. I'm very excited. I hope to God this is nothing like the other time I flew into Fort Lauderdale when my flight was delayed over 5 hours and I was trapped on the outside of the terminal flying Frontier for the first and last time. Anyway, the point is I was so happy I had AirHelp. Because what AirHelp does is after going through something exhausting like that, you are able to go to them, give them your information, and they will go fight the good fight for you with the airlines to see if you are allowed any air passenger rights and some compensation. So check the link in our episode and see if AirHelp can help you. Hopefully you don't need it, but in case you do this holiday season, AirHelp.
Back to today's topic, the final push, the end of the year. 60 days, aka less than 60 days to level up.
If you listen to this podcast, first off, we love you. Second off, you're probably somebody who is constantly looking to better themselves. You're looking at ways you can help improve your life. And maybe like Sammy and I, you're thinking, hey, 60 days, that's actually the perfect amount of time to set myself up well for the new year. Maybe you're like me and this year has been crazy and you just want to embrace a little bit of sanity and control in your life and be able to put yourself on a good track. And that's why we love this topic today, the final push. You have 60 days, 2 months until the end of the year. It's time to level up.
The most important thing about the holidays is actually making sure you don't have too much going on. And that means prioritizing rest.
Ah, yes. Irony of irony. Part of helping yourself level up is doing a review with yourself. For me, Sammy, this is checking in with my body. Am I sleeping well? Am I eating well? Am I respecting my beautiful temple? And I realized that I wasn't. I was tired. I was socially exhausted to nobody's fault except a busy schedule and my own fluid boundaries. I ended up physically tired. And so for me, rest is at the top of the list. It doesn't necessarily mean sleeping all day. It could mean after daylight savings time, making sure that my sleep schedule is airtight. It means going to yoga and stretching my body, making sure that I am limber. It's about putting good foods in my body that give me energy instead of making me tired.
The thing about the holidays is there are so many events, there are so many things that come up that it is extra important to not add literally anything that is not mandatory for you. And by mandatory, I of course mean anything that you want to participate in. Everything else needs to go. Keep the calendar as clean as possible. Make space to get your 8 hours of sleep. Do not use this time to have a million parties to go to and a million things to do and a million opportunities to get sleep deprived and socially exhausted.
Are you speaking about other people, Sammy, or yourself?
I'm talking about me. I'm talking about me. Because it is very easy to be like, oh yeah, I'll come to the work holiday party. And oh, someone else is throwing one on Friday? Sure, yeah, I guess I can show up to that too. And then next thing you know, you have events planned all over the place because you didn't realize how much was going to be going on when all of this started.
And if your birthdays are in the next 2 months, you might even be planning something for those as well. Heck, sometimes we ourselves are the problem. This is a perfect time, I agree with what you're saying, Sammy, is actually take a look at your calendar for the next 2 months. Put a social calendar for yourself. Put a social calendar together for yourself. That's what I do, and it helps me see how much time I actually have. Because I'm as guilty as you, Sammy. The holiday season, there's tons of things to say yes to. There's tons of exciting events. And I think it's really important to check in with yourself. And unless you're in a season of meeting new people and really putting yourself out there, I think it's good to be cognizant of how much stuff gets added to your calendar.
How do you do that? Step number 2, maintain boundaries.
Ooh, holiday season and testing your boundaries go hand in hand.
It's a messy season. It's a communal season. Communal means boundaries get sloppy. That's what communal means. And it can be fun. It can be fun. But it's good to plan ahead so that you have your boundaries in order. For me, what does that mean? It means me and Michelle are reading Alan Carr's book about how to quit sugar.
Good Sugar, Bad Sugar. Also the same author who helped us get off drinking. We thought now is the time. Here's the thing. We, if you don't know, have diabetes up and down our family. We love sugar. We are sugar addicts. And to be honest, our sugar binge, while in the moment I enjoyed it, I realized that I didn't even feel good about it. And I really love how my body feels when I'm taking care of it. And so that was a really great reminder to me that it's important to be strict about these things. Because you know what happens is all of a sudden you're making exceptions for Thanksgiving. You're making exceptions for Sammy's birthday. You're making exceptions for Christmas. You're making exceptions for my birthday.
When your aunt puts a piece of rum cake in your plate, when you neither drink rum nor eat cake, what do you say? Drop it like it's hot. Drop it like it's hot. And you know she's going to be like, you're too skinny anyway. Eat the cake.
Yeah. Family in general, here's the thing. Maintaining boundaries, you probably had to learn boundaries like us because you come from a huge Indian family who have never even heard of the word. And we are all learning and relearning how to maintain those boundaries. But if you're spending time with especially family, it's good to mentally prepare yourself ahead of time because you got potentially 2-3 holidays coming up where you'll be spending time with people close to you who really love to take advantage of the amorphous nature of your boundaries.
Whose Christmas party are you going to go to? Whose Thanksgiving party? Decide now. so that way things will not get crazy.
And finally, Sammy, I think such a big thing for me is now that it's the end of the year, I want to make sure I refocus and then point my arrow in the direction I want to grow.
It's like 2025 is going to slap us in the face when January hits. Less than 60 days, it's really not a lot of time. And I think to myself, what do I want to do in these last 60 days?
Exactly, Sammy. And for me, it's not about having this crazy push, when you're in resolution time and you have 50 things you want to do. Choose 1 or 2 habits that you might want to build. A habit takes on average 66 days to build. Hello, perfect amount of time to start now. What's an easy one you can knock off? This is the time.
For me, I think about my beacon of light for this year, but especially for these last 2 months. And that is my spirituality. This year, I was able to get close to God, the universe, the creator, whatever you want to call it. I don't want to lose that. You know how I got there? Is by multiple spiritual practices a day. And I really want to get back there. Even though it's a busy time of the year, for me, this is still my number 1 priority. I created a daily spiritual checklist to make sure I'm getting the things done that I need to get done.
That's our Virgo moon.
And I also created a weekly schedule. Normally I just do daily schedules, but this time of the year I need a weekly schedule where I can see everything time blocked ahead of time the week before so that I can plan in when I'm going to exercise, when I'm going to meditate, when I'm going to be doing Byron Katie worksheets, etc. so I can make sure everything gets done.
I think it's so wonderful because you can refocus and grow in a way that's valuable to you, Sammy, or to you, friend who is listening to Build a Wealthy Spirit, and really embrace growing in a direction that makes you excited. For me, I know I'm going to have a little bit of time, a little bit less work going on in a couple of weeks, and I really want to embrace the opportunity to not focus so much on other people's projects and focus on my own creative projects. I want to give myself time to play and write and be creative. And for me, that is what growth looks like. So I'm so excited for that because I think it will really be nice to create this space for myself after resting, maintaining my boundaries, and then being able to point my arrow in a direction of growth.
Takeaways.
Takeaways for this episode. The takeaway is the holiday season is coming and there are only 60 days left of the year.
It's the holiday season.
The holiday season means prioritizing rest, maintaining boundaries, and refocusing so that you can grow.
Sammy, I need this conversation, and the reason I'm excited we're talking about it is for me, a lot of times the holiday season means exactly the opposite. It's chaos, it's loose boundaries, it's managing a lot of other people's feelings, and then it's getting to the end of the year and realizing I didn't prioritize anything for myself.
Now that I think about it, no wonder we need New Year's resolutions by the time January comes along.
You get beaten down.
You get beaten down by bad boundaries and cake.
And it's not that you can't enjoy the twinkling lights, beautiful music.
I won't say it's not that you can't enjoy the cake. Because if you're reading Alan Carr's book, you would understand that there is no enjoyment in cake.
I wasn't going to say cake, Sammy. I was going to say Mariah Carey. But agreed. And it's specific to you, right? It's specific to your values, what's important to you, what's important to your health, your fitness, your mental stability. This season, it's chaotic, and it's been a chaotic year, and a lot of crazy stuff is going on. When this episode comes out, it's election day. So let's all take a breather, prioritize rest, maintain our boundaries, refocus, and grow in a way that's meaningful to us.
Community time.
Before we say goodbye, it's our community time.
First, shout out to Jess, who has been using ChatGPT to help her count her macros because she's also using Macro Factor.
Oh my gosh.
I really need to sign up for their affiliate link.
Yes, hopefully you can do that before this episode comes out. I love that, though. Sammy and I, in our last episode, talked about how we're using AI for our personal growth. So that's awesome to get a suggestion from Jess.
Sijin also loved that we shouted her out, and she said that it was actually her coworker at Stanford who let her know that she was on the podcast.
Wow. Build a Wealthy Spirit podcast. #1 approved by Stanford's medical team. You can say anything.
Paul loved our episode on ChatGPT, and he asked Chat, what are 5 blind spots that I have?
He shared it with us, and it was so illuminating and accurate. Sammy and I have only gotten more deep in the AI. Okay, now we're using Claude. I'm actually paying for Claude right now.
I'm not going to lie, Claude, that's right, not Claude, is excellent.
Claude.
Claude is just like, speaks like a human. I do my schedules with him, and he gets it in the right format the first time. Something about Claude really understands the material, it seems like, or somehow his algorithm is better, and it really just hits.
Yeah, so an add-on suggestion, test out Claude. We'll share the link in our show notes. If you have something to share, if you have a goal, if you're listening to this podcast, email us, leave us a comment, text us, reach out to us and say, in the next 60 days, I am going to do insert your goal to level up.
Comment on the Substack post.
We
We will bring it back up in January and see how you're doing.
will hold you accountable. BuildAWealthySpirit.com.
And most importantly, be sure to join us next time as we put down the rulebook and we rethink the status quo.